I in them, and you in me. The vocation of the contemplative is to be a tabernacle of the Most High, and the whole of the structure that the centuries have fabricated in the monastic life is in function of protecting that divine inhabitation and the living out of its consequences. If one is aware of what the presence is, there are consequences. If one is aware of what the call is, to be nothing but praise and accompaniment of that presence, then there are consequences. If, as in the psalm which one could use on this day, Psalm 16, often used at professions actually, Dominus portio mea, the Lord is our portion, then we are in a state of privileged existence. We are in the rights of God, les droits de Dieu. No one can in any way justify the gratuitous praise of a life spent in prayer. It has no sense. But it has all sense if one comes to that domain of the rights of God. However, one is justified in questioning the quality of a life thus given, which, by hypothesis, doesn't do that. And it is a risk which we have to be aware of. For to be of use to the mystical body, it has to be what it is. All or nothing. And the devil knows it well. And because of the power of a contemplative monastery, he is often, subtly, but really at work in making sure that it doesn't do what it is there for, so that the church may be deprived of that one thing that it most needs. If one looks around the monastic world, one sees some of the tricks that the enemy of the soul uses to make sure that a monastery fails. I remember hearing this from a monk who actually has since left the monastic world and the priesthood. He was a Trappist. And when I was a student, he wrote to me from his monastery, there are 3 illnesses in the monastic life. 1, childishness. 2, selfishness. 3, activism. I would like to dwell for a few seconds on the last. It is the big one in our day. Perhaps the monks are more under siege than the nuns, because when they come in, they are already fully plugged in to the world in all its modernity. but it's a risk also for the nuns, for by osmosis, the world is right next to you all the time, begging to come in. But activism is a subtle one, and therefore difficult to detect and to handle. It is like the Trojan horse. It comes in by our own invitation. Today, often by the modern means of communication. Life without a mobile phone is different from life with a mobile phone. Life without easy access to internet is different from life where the screen is the center of gravity. Life without direct television and radio is profoundly different from life in which the world comes in just by the pressing of a knob and crashes all the foundations and barriers of enclosure which the centuries have set up by our own invitation. And so, what do we have? I remember hearing it from a Trappist abbot, a machine eating itself up. A perfectly functioning contraption, not doing the one thing that it is there for, but doing all the rest perfectly. If the Lord has chosen to invite us to be amongst the few that He calls to do one thing only in our time on earth, let us ask together, and I mean together, for the grace to correspond and take the risk of no half